Hi everyone, I'm going to get this started. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen. Um, this is for the Parent University from December 14th. This is just a re-recording. Um, the recording in the breakout room didn't seem to stick, so this is for the secondary grade band, so your 9th through 12th graders. And then the topic is how to read map scores and encourage student um, map growth. So, an acronym guide. So, we usually say NWA MAP a lot. NWA just stands for Northwest Evaluation Association. So, basically, these are the creators of the MAP test. They also make different types of assessments, but we use them mainly for MAP. And then MAP stands for Measures of Academic Progress. So, these are the assessments that are used um, like a benchmark test to kind of see how students are growing throughout the school year. And then we also talk a lot about RIT scores, which actually is an acronym for Roche unit. And it's a unit of measure that uses individual test question difficulty values to estimate student achievement. So each question is assigned a value, and then those are kind of totaled up at the end to estimate the student score or RIT score. So in the secondary grade band, we give MAP growth test. You may notice, especially if you have students in lower grade bands, they have, I think, MAP fluency, math accelerator, things like that. We do not give those at the secondary grade band level. The tests are specific to growth, and it's just a different type of test, and it's targeted for more for a higher grade level. Just across all grade bands, we test 3 times a year. So fall was that beginning of the year. We call it fall, but really it's like August. Winter is what we just did in December, and then spring will be at towards the end of the year, typically in May. And then we test in 4 areas at the secondary grade band: language, reading, math, and science. So there are no math assessments specific to social studies or electives. So when it comes to flex levels, things like that, we try to correlate it as closely as we can with one of the main 4 MAP tests, in addition to grades and things like that. So how does the MAP growth test work? First, it's a computer adaptive test. So that means students will start off kind of at one question or one level, and then if they get it right, it'll move to a more difficult question. If they get it wrong, it'll move to like an easier or more relatable question. You can see in this image over here that the green checks are when the students got the question right, and then the red X is when they started getting it wrong. And the more questions you answer, it kind of starts really being able to dial in and get a sense of what the student knows and what their strengths and weaknesses are. All right, so how to interpret the score report. We'll have more detailed images in just a second, but overview, this is what, if you get sent a PDF of the score report, your student might actually be able to download it from MAP itself as well. But typically, you'll have the subject area. So in this case, the image says mathematics. And then you'll have these bar graphs. So in this one, the blue color is what your student scored. The orange would be like the district mean. So that would be like other students in that grade level at Georgia Cyber. And then the kind of gold yellow color would be students in the same grade level across the United States that have taken this. Um, so sometimes, most of the time, you'll see this on your score reports. It depends. Sometimes we may not have the district or the norm grade, but usually all 3 of those are there. And then these at the bottom stand for when they took it. So um, SP is spring, and these are all the springs, so spring 15, 16, 17. Sometimes you'll see other acronyms, which I'll have on a later slide. And then this right here, this kind of dashed line bar graph, that's their kind of projection or what they think the student will score based on kind of statistics and everything from where they are now to the next year. This box kind of shows a similar thing. It shows the year and term of the test being looked at, the grade your student was in, and then this is the main part. So the bolded color and the bolded number in the middle is the student's RIT score for this exam. And then the left and right numbers is kind of the student's range. So with the standard of error, it's basically if the student were to test again right now under similar conditions, they would score somewhere in between 220 and 226, that kind of thing. They would kind of score in within that range, they believe. RIT growth is basically it's showing you how many points they grew from the last time they took this test. So right here it says 12, and you can see when this student took this math exam at grade 5, they made a 211, and then in grade 6 they made a 223. So the student grew 12 points in a year. And the growth projection was how much they were estimated to grow. So the student was estimated to only grow 6 points, but they actually grew 12. And then you can kind of look at that between the different years. And then the percentile range. So because it's an adaptive test, most students are expected to get 50% or kind of in the 50th percentile or higher. And so if you're in the 50th percentile or higher, you're considered to be on level or above grade level. So again, the bolded numbers and the left and right numbers work the same as they did over here. So the student is considered 44th percentile, so they're slightly below their grade level. And then they're in a range between 38 and 51. So if the student came back and took this a different day, they could potentially score higher or lower. And then down here, mathematics goal performance. This just kind of breaks the test out into which like topics or domains are within the test. So you can see operations, algebraic thinking, geometry, real and complex numbers, statistics, and probability. And you can see that this student scored better in statistics and probability and real and complex numbers because they got average compared to geometry and operations, algebraic thinking, which is low to average. I know that was a lot of information. These other next pictures will break it down a little bit more. Again, so in this picture, we're looking at language arts reading, and it has the student data and it has the norm grade data, which is the norm grade data is for all students within that grade level across the United States. Okay. It's just missing the district level data. So just depends on the report. Sometimes the district level is included, sometimes it's not. Over here, you can see, so WI stands for winter, FA is fall, SP is spring. There is an SU for summer, but we usually don't give them out tests in the summer, so you probably won't see that. And then again, you have the same number of things we were talking about a minute ago, with the bolded number in the center, and then it kind of being within the range to the left and right. Okay. Again, the student grade level of when they took the exam is that second number in this box. The RIT scores that you see in the box to the right are also seen on top of the bar graphs. So again, the blue bar graphs are what your students scored. And this kind of yellow color is compared to other students of that same grade level across the United States. And then again, 50th percentile is kind of considered average. So the student is above the 50th percentile, they're considered on or above grade level. If they're below the 50th percentile, they're considered below grade level. Okay, and again, the dashed lines is kind of their prediction for where the student would possibly test around the next time they took the test. And that's just it's based on all of statistics and data from students within the similar grade level across the United States. All right, Lexile range. So this is important for the language arts, the reading exams. This can tell you the student's Lexile score. So, approximately what kind of grade levels they're reading at. You can use it to help identify online resources, trying to challenge different books, periodicals, things like that. Okay, so ways you can help your students. So, using the report to identify areas of strength and weaknesses where additional support might be needed. Celebrating the growths that are made, between the different times they take the test throughout the year. Looking at these content goals for more specific feedback. So, in this picture, you can see the students kind of low in all the different math areas, but in the picture we saw earlier, students kind of low to average in some areas and then average in others. So you could reach out to your student's math teacher for specific help in that area, or um, use our services like Tutor Me, um, or reach out to other staff for additional resources and we can help in those areas. Okay, other things that are available. So, programs like IXL have like alignments that can help with map scores. So it'll kind of look at your students' map scores and how they scored in different areas, and it'll make suggestions about different activities and things you can do within IXL to help build those skills. So they have PDF alignments in language, reading, and math. So you can click on those, and then look at your student's score, and it'll kind of give you suggestions. And then they also have an online version, mostly math, but they're starting to add some of the others. So you can go in there, you can put your skill scores, your different levels, and then it'll kind of create a plan for you. And then back to the Lexile scores, you can use those Lexile scores in our online library, Sora. And it'll make suggestions about what books kind of fall within that range that might be interesting to your students. So again, we test 3 times a year. We did August, winter we just completed, and then spring will be May 16th through the 19th. All right. You should have access to this PowerPoint, and this will have links. So all of these are linked, and they are helpful resources that you can check out yourself. A lot of it goes back over things I just covered. So there's quick fact sheet, there's frequently asked questions. These 2 videos are pretty short and they're really good about going more in depth about the scores and how to read the reports and what map growth is. And then also if you're a native Spanish speaker or if you have friends or family that are that also want additional map resources, there are Spanish resources on the map website. All right. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, reach out to your teacher, homeroom teacher, or your FEL, and we'll all be happy to help you. Thank you.